Earth and water, and a pair of peasant hands. Out of these rises a small mud barrier, a miniature earth dam that diverts the flow of water from one narrow channel into another, leading to an ancestral acre. Water drawn from natural sources. For a moment, let your imagination transform this narrow channel into a big, broad river that nourishes hundreds of acres belonging to communities of peasants of a whole region of our countryside. How big must the barrier across the river be to divert its waters to acres and acres of lands? Here's a good answer. A long, great earth dam, 5 miles, 3 furlongs, and 482 feet long, with a middle masonry section that rises 130 feet high from the very bed of the river. 97,000 tons of cement make this mighty barrier that is 1,530 feet wide. And this gigantic masonry body has 2 giant arms of earth studded with stone, 60 million cubic feet of earth, and 14 million cubic feet of stone, astronomical figures. This massive wall has turned a river into a reservoir for storing 30,000 million cubic feet of water, a basin draining an area of 1,700 square miles of the surrounding Nilgiris slopes in southern India. How did all this come about? Let us look back. The Moya River eagerly runs to meet the Bhavani. Together, these 2 streams carry their waters from the Blue Mountains to feed Kaveri, the golden river of the south. From the morning of our era, from the days of early powerful Chola monarchs of the Tamil land, Kaveri has felt the curb of man-made bridles, anicuts and embankments to reconcile the violence of her moods with the fertility of the soil. The Kaveri basin strikingly reflects the development across centuries of the utilization of water and the techniques of water storage, water for irrigation, water for power. Population pressure and hence the demand for water have been ever present and ever increasing features of the Kaveri. The result, the generous river of the south, is one of the most depleted waterways of our land. The focus of attention of water authorities and irrigation experts now had to shift from the main river towards its tributary streams. 2 monsoons enriched the Bhavani. It carried freshes or surplus water for shorter periods during the rainy seasons. These rain-endowed tides could be stored and regular supply of water assured for vaster acreage, said the water experts to the state. Out of the blend of engineering skill and state enterprise, a plan emerged for an earth dam across the Bhavani at the lower reaches of the river. And on an October day, the call of the siren broke the silence of a valley. The roar of earth-moving machinery reverberated across the hollows of the Nilgiris. "79 miles from the source, the banks of the Bhavani were teeming as never before. Men, women, workers and engineers were busy. Ingenious machinery took the heaviest of burdens off human shoulders. With the dignity of sculptors, the masons shaped quarry stones to predetermined form and size. Cement came down the chutes to the dry bed of a now deviated river. Where water flowed yesterday, today streams of laborers moved across the river bed and excavations. A dam was growing. At the field laboratory, brains and hands were busy analyzing and testing materials used for building the dam. Men behind the plans carefully surveyed and checked the progress of work, month after month. For miles from the right bank of the river, a canalway was cut across an arid countryside. Surveyors and workmen marked the routes for distributaries. Everywhere, groups of laborers cut deep, long channels and raised earth banks for the promised pattern of irrigation. Even here, earth and water played basic roles. Armor for a giant, iron and steel, skilled technicians and workmen, casting, forging, turning, molding, manufacturing beams, girders, bridges and shutters for the Great Wall. From now on, the river, turned lake, could be controlled. Communications in the hand of man now recorded, regulated and disciplined the flow of the river in accordance with his needs. The work of thousands, working for hundreds of days, at last transformed into a formidable barrier of masonry and earth arms wedged into a concrete spillway. Major endeavors sometimes demand minor sacrifices. In the conflict between dam and river, the river spread, submerging trees and wilderness. Virgin lands, even villages were flooded out. But this was part of the plan. The villagers were compensated with sites for new homes and lands where the tenor of their lives has resumed its normal pastoral strain, and the young ones of the rehabilitated learn the good ways of life. The spread of the river that swallowed wilderness and evacuated village is a vast store of water that assures irrigation for thousands of acres, the lake of Bhavani Sagar that creates the lower Bhavani Canal. But let the canal tell you its own story.
I am an offspring of man's ingenuity and of the rich tides of a rain-blessed river. In the beginning, I bear traces of turbulence inherited from a mountain stream. Soon I learned to calm down and accept the route that man has carved out for my purposeful journey, through bridges, past townships, through deep cuttings, carrying life-giving water to languishing acres, towards peopled villages miles away from the great dam of my birth. Wide channels claim and take away much of the precious Bhavani water that I bring. Locks curb the freedom of my flow, and on my moving waters are cast the shadows of men who regulate the distribution of the precious water I bring. People living in the villages along my banks often talk of the good I bring, of a vast network of channels and distributaries I have created. Of big, wide distributaries I feed, which run down in graceful fashion, taking water to mile-long paved channels that flow to spreading fields where peasants are busy raising dry crops like maize and cotton, and cash crops. I flow in graceful curves across a vast countryside where I have heard it said many a time that I spell the irrigation of 200,000 acres of land that yearned for water in the yesterday.
Did you hear that? 200,000 acres the canal feeds with nourishing water. And even more, a well-built, preconceived living township has arisen along with the great dam. Bhavani Sagar with an agricultural research station. More food from good earth. And food from water, a fish farm. The little people of the township learn basic things in a school founded by the Kasturba Memorial Trust. Young men are learning village-level work in the government basic education center, while seniors are being trained to train others in community project work. Bhavani Sagar is the hub of communications for the surrounding villages. Law and order is maintained by the police station. A modern hospital affords medical aid. Sports fields surround a country club. And a lovely circuit house offers excellent accommodation for tourists and visitors. At the information office, distinguished visitor and commoner alike can learn about the salient features of the project before seeing surprising constructions like the drainage corridor of the dam, a sort of lung, as it were, of the Great Wall. The dam that means the beginning of a new life in the lower Bhavani regions, of new irrigation and cultivation reflected in the canal-fed countryside. The canal that flows through constructions of engineering skill. Or past the new township that tells of another step gained in the humanization of our landscape. All this we owe to the dam. One more proof of man's intelligent appraisal of transforming the bounty of mountain streams into the wealth and welfare of many people.